Today, I'm talking with TJ Newell, a friend of mine and actually the designer of the logos for my brands. He's a dad of four who's facing a tough decision that many parent entrepreneurs dream of having, but it's tougher than you might think. See, TJ runs Mocky, a profitable design agency making four figures a month and just working 3 hours a day before his full-time job. He's got 5 strong clients, good margins, and the opportunity to scale the agency if he wants to. But here's the thing, he also loves working at his full-time job, considering that this is his dream job. You know, he gets to walk to work, he gets to build culture in the small town that we both love and live in, and he gets to support one of his closest friends in his growing business. So the question he was asking is, do I scale the profitable side hustle that could replace my income? Do I kill it and double down to my full-time job that feeds my soul, even if it means leaving money on the table? Or if I scale it, how do I scale it without taking more time away from what I'm doing right now? You see, this isn't just about money versus passion. It's about what fulfillment actually looks like as a parent entrepreneur. And more importantly, how do you gain clarity around these forks in the road when you experience them? Enjoy. All right, man. So what's the question you had that you sent me the other day?
Well, there's been some thought since I asked the question. So I'll try to recall what I asked, but then also bring some fresh thought.
Okay.
So you know a bit of my story and just where I'm at with the business and all the other things that I have going on currently. But in short, I run a design agency where I sell a design service, sort of like a plug and play art department for those that need quick turn art requests. And the way that I structure my business is I hire a project manager and a designer under them to service each client. So everyone's getting really good care. And we turn quick. So it's all about speed and customer service. Not that we take a dip on quality, but those are the two things that we pride ourselves on. And I'm finding myself right now in life having 4 kids and living in a small town that I love and having a full-time job all of a sudden that I love. So the design agency either goes on the back burner or becomes a part of my life, a fixture of my life that can grow on its own, so that I can press into what's right in front of me, which I think is where I find value. So that was kind of me lacing these two thoughts together. You know, the question that I asked you the other day was, how can I scale this thing? And do you think this concept would work? Which we can get into a little bit more. But since then, I've thought a lot about, you know, is this something that can grow as I give my all, or 95% of myself to, like I said, what's right in front of me, which is my community, my day-to-day, my 9 to 5, and yeah, just my family. And also, you know, keep my head on straight because it's a grind.
Yeah. Well, it's so obvious, but what do you actually want? You know, it sounds almost like you have analysis of paralysis, but like, if you just continued working, you know, 9 to 5 that you enjoy now, and you just kept growing into that role at that company, like, would that bring you life, or would you always feel like, what if I just sent it and I just did it? Or on the opposite spectrum, like if Mocky took off and got you, like, it was difficult, but you got through it and you eventually scaled it, would that be the most gratifying thing when you think about the future? Like, what does the picture look like for you?
I think what is gratifying to me is that my family is okay. And, you know, obviously I'm motivated by money and growth. And the idea of more, not in like a greed sort of a sense.
But money is a great determinant of value, right?
Yeah.
And so the more you offer in the marketplace for value, the more you get in regards to money. So I get it. You don't have to preface that.
But the motivator in that is just accessibility to things. I would love to be able to take off on a weekend and go, you know, find refreshment on a coast somewhere with my family.
Mm-hmm.
I've been grinding so hard, which, you know, maybe that's what's holding me back. You know, that I'm trying to grow this thing. But I'm motivated by that. It's the long weekend trips, and what's right in front of me. What that offers is just the ability to wake up, literally walk down the street to my 9 to 5, and we can talk more about what that is and why that's fulfilling to me, and why I don't want to let that go. But that's really fulfilling for me to just be a fixture of our community and know that I get to see my kids every day. So it might be a matter of wanting, you know, what's the analogy? Like having your cake and eating it too. I want it all. I think I've had this epiphany recently that, if I push a little bit harder and I give away some of my day to day with Mocky, that Mocky can sort of grow itself. And if I build a good team under me, like good dudes and gals who care about people, as my project manager, if I'm taking a smaller piece of the pie, that piece can be added to, and, you know, bit by bit, it can start to really become something. And so that's my hope. And I think if I'm going to drive it home, I think my question was to you is do you think that's possible with my limited amount of time right now? Or do you think I need to let one of these things go?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the state of the business then, and kind of paint the picture. Like, where are you at now? Since, you know, I know you've been going at this for on the side burner for what, like a year now?
Yeah, it's been just over a year.
Okay. Where are you at, like, growth wise? Are you at the same? Have you dwindled down? What does it look like right now?
Yeah. So I took a big leap in the last 6 months and added, I'm at 5 clients that are strong clients right now. But that with my current capacity, which is 3 hours a day. So the way that my day looks is 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. I'm working Mocky and I'm pushing hard. And then throughout the day, I'm full time at my 9 to 5, and I'm giving my all to that, which I have felt hard pressed on. I'm committed. I'm not splitting my brain between Mocky and this job. And then most nights I come home and field some more emails, and I'm able to be with the kids. And I just sort of had this wake up call that if I don't commit to like parsing it out, that 6 to 9 block and then the 9 to 5 block for my job, then you know, I'm just gonna keep running in circles. Because for a while I thought if I worked hard enough and I pushed from 5 to 10, this was before I started full time at my gig, I was pushing from 5 to 10 and thought I could just grow it, and then it would just do its own thing. It would just take off, and you know, maybe my job turns into something more. And I was just exhausting myself. And so the wake up call was commit to smaller chunks, even if that means letting some art requests fall through the cracks to tomorrow. These are things that, you know, yes, I pride myself on customer service and speed. But that was the point that I hired a full-time designer. So, seeing those things coming together and seeing what it meant to me to have my time back, and truly just the headspace to know that work was being done when I wasn't working. Yeah. That changed everything for me. Right. And that even though I'm still at this 5 client mark, where my brain is why can't that be 20 clients? Why can't I do what I'm doing currently, where I'm the project manager for these 5 clients, checking in in the morning, and someone's doing the design work for me, who I trust, I've trained, and the work is not earth-shattering work, you know, not to paint a bad picture about the job that I'm prideful of. Like I love what we do. I love what we put out. But this is the service that we're giving to someone is a polished service. We're giving them something that they would either be paying a nephew too little and having to struggle to get what they need, or they'd be paying an agency more. So we kind of fit that gray area. And I know I'm now talking in circles. I don't even remember the original question, but
No, you're good. I mean, this is all relevant information. So I think we're getting closer and closer to, I think, having the full picture to know what makes the most sense. So let's talk about those 6 months, because it sounds like for 6 months, you're like, before you went full time with Bradley Mountain, you were like, I'm going 6 months into like giving everything I can to scaling this. Like, what happened? Did you feel like you're spinning your wheels and just couldn't get enough clients going? The client acquisition was just too sporadic. Like, what happened over those 6 months?
I hit a point where request volume was my capacity. So I could complete all the requests. I could project manage well enough to make sure that my designer hit all of those requests for those 5 clients. But I could do nothing more. So I couldn't do any sort of lead sourcing. I couldn't go out and do any sort of business development. So
if you did have the time, I guess, the important question would be around that would be if your biggest point of constraint was fulfilling the service, if you had that fulfilled, on more on autopilot, would you be able to scale it more from what you've experienced? Do you feel like you're confident, like, yes, I could find more salespeople. It's been easy for me to get new clients.
Yes.
Okay.
So
what's the biggest constraint around the fulfillment? Like, because it sounds like you have a full-time designer now. Is that what changes once you brought that person on?
Just buying that time back?
Yeah, getting that time back. Now you can like truly fully trust them to like run with it, or is it still like, I need to act like a middleman, then I get them over here, so I'm still spending a good amount of time? Or no, you said you're spending 3 hours a day for 5 clients right now, right? Okay.
Yeah.
How much is that worth? If you don't mind, like me asking, like, what's the average customer? What's the average revenue cost?
That's tough. Each client is different. Average, I would say, is what I'm bringing in.
Yeah, top line revenue.
Let's call it $850 a month.
Okay.
But I've got one client that's 600. Another one, $2,000.
Right. So if you were to average it out and say, like, on average, if I were to get more, it'd be like $800 a month.
Right.
And then what's your cost of fulfillment for your designer overseas to fulfill the service off $850?
$400.
Okay, so you're like 50% margin. That's great. That's actually fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let me make sure I get this straight. So you're fulfilling it on your own. You're hitting your max capacity for a while, and you just like cranked it for 6 months. You could find more clients if you needed to, but what really changed was once you brought on a designer, it's like you've been able to really be able to go full time and still keep this thing on the back burner, right? And so now you're at the point of like, I really actually enjoy my full time. Do I put more into this? If so, how? Do I just let it grow organically? That's kind of where you feel is just you're kind of at that fork in the road of what do I give more attention to?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think in asking you that question a couple weeks back, I think in my mind, I know the answer. I think I know my next step. And so whether subconsciously I was just asking for approval from you, which probably is what I was doing. I think the next step is deploying a sales team. And I've always had a negative connotation on sales. No offense to you. That's how you grow businesses.
Yeah.
And so I've already started conversations with a couple dudes locally, and then back in Portland, where I'm from, who the focus to me has to be on solid relationship builders. Because they're not just project managers, they're not salesmen, they're developing relationships. Because I'm finding that this industry is all about trust. And I say industry, it's open to whoever needs art services, but I'm finding a lane within kind of industry specific job, blue collar, a lot of product based companies, a lot of promo companies that need logos slapped on things.
Yeah.
They're providing artwork. It's like layup kind of requests that they don't have time to do. It's quick turn marketing materials and everything in between. So I think I understand what my next step is. It's now just, okay, do it.
And so the next step that you feel is then you have fulfillment kind of handled on the operations side. Now it's just getting the top of funnel of client acquisition taken care of, right? Is what you're saying. So I do want to zoom in on that a little bit. What's your like total addressable market? Like how many people do you think there are in those situations? Because you work specifically with not the managers necessarily, but the salespeople directly, right? Who have the relationships with the clients. Is that right?
Yeah, there's a lot of room within that to infiltrate from within through sales teams to sort of like a corporate level contract is what I'd like to work up to.
Right.
So you're working with these sales reps who are putting out conceptual mock-ups to make the sale. So we're helping them with their sales funnel. It's a time to close fulfillment. I mean, that's what we do for those clients. But then I also have other clients that I found that, I go direct to the art department and I'm sort of an embedded designer within them. I'd like to get away from those. I think more, I think the bread and butter is those quick turn, those layup drills, because we can stack on that. And there's some really high volume reps. There's some really high volume companies, so that might be at that corporate level that just need quick stuff, Facebook ads,
right?
And they
so
need
then,
them constantly.
I guess my question though was like, how big do you imagine the market is? Like, how many people do you think you could sell to? Have you gotten an idea of like what the total addressable market would be?
No.
Okay.
And I'm saying no to say I have not given the time to do market research.
That's fair.
Outside of just working with my clientele, knowing that they want to pass along the Mocky name to their contacts. And something you recommended to me a long time ago was a referral program, which I've started thinking about that a lot more. I've started considering inviting those reps to be Mocky project managers. So you rep Richardson Headwear, you rep Gildan Tees, you rep whoever it is, Igloo, anything that can be a promotional item and have Joe's Crab Shack logo put on it. They're repping those brands. Why don't you rep Mocky? Because Mocky can service all of your portfolio.
Right. And to just like zoom out on that for specifically what you're talking about, you're specifically talking about you sell your design services for these quick turn logo designs, marketing materials, whatever it might be, particularly on average to salespeople. And it's usually salespeople who have relationships with these branding companies. Right? Did I describe it correctly?
Yeah, that is my primary lane. But my secondary lane, I would say, is brands that make a product that have a custom program. So private label, custom label, and they take their product and they put custom application onto it. So I
Right.
work direct with those companies.
Right. Okay. That makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense. And so let's zoom in then on what you mentioned about the salespeople, since that seems like that's the next thing to explore.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get your last customers? Was it from word of mouth, like we talked about, and just referral basis?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you found any kind of repeatable outreach or anything that's like can be systematized that if you bring on, project manager or someone like that, or
Mm-hmm.
any kind of salesperson that they can like follow the beaten path that you've kind of already outlined?
Yeah. I hate to admit I am not a man of pattern. Um,
Well, you're
yeah.
creative, dude.
I think it's
You
the
literally, you have graphic design in your background. I don't expect you to be type A.
oh no, I'm not. I am yeah, very type whatever B or C. Um,
Type Z.
yeah. I am a relationship guy myself. So like as a designer, I am emotional in my design. I want it to mean something. I want what what grinds my gears is the handoff. It's delivering the product, and that experience right there, the handshake, or just like the sigh of relief. It's knowing that we did something good, and then it's building on that relationship and just having the rapport. So anyone that I find that is so important to me, like project managers and sales, it's really important that they can build good relationships. So that's what I found has been my organic growth. And I think the itch that I have right now that I can't seem to find the time to scratch is that I have all of these emails and these contacts in my head that I just need to reach out to, have a phone call with, and start building from there. I'm confident in myself. I'm confident in telling someone else how to do it. And then from there, that 3-step process is, building the relationship, building that trust, bringing them on as a client, onboarding them, and immediately in that onboarding, it's assigning a project manager and then immediately hiring a designer. So that is the package that happens. And that, internally, that's not, to really be, no one needs to know that. These are my people that are working for me and with me,
Right.
and we're building this together.
But when you say there's like a list of people you need to call, are you saying like these are salespeople and project managers you need to call? Or are you saying that these are like clients? It's like, I just need to reach out to these referrals I've not
I think
reached out to it.
Yeah, these are potential clients. So, I don't know if any of my current clientele will be listening to this ever, but they've been so generous, so kind to make connections. And just kind of through the year, I've been gathering emails from forwards. There's a lot of email forwards that come through that I see that, I think I have paralysis a little bit in asking if I can reach out to those people. I don't think it'd be any problem if I did.
Yeah.
I think I'd probably have permission even before asking. So, I've got a long list. I would estimate 50 names that I could reach out to right away.
Jeez, dude.
That I'm already doing art for by way of their rep. So they're they're distributors essentially.
Got it.
So those are names I just want to get in the hands of these two guys that I had started conversations with immediately and just tee up those conversations. I think we're already qualified. I think they would know where their artwork is coming from anyway. I think that their reps, could kind of triangulate that conversation. And then there are a few other industries that I just kind of want to press into, specifically just with that, application and that decoration, promo product in mind. And then I want to go to a trade show. I just want to have a presence and I just want to meet people.
Yeah, you should absolutely do that. I mean, even if to pay like $1,000 or $1,500, like it's if you're any brand, even if you don't have any exposure whatsoever, going just to a trade show or convention just with the right people, like, man, I've done so much business at a bar at trade shows. Just like you just talk to the person next to you, and then you go, "Oh, hey, I do this," and before you know it, they're like a client. My biggest, I think, question in all this is what's the fear? What's the hesitancy? I've sensed a lot of, like, it seems like the floodgates are right there, like the opportunities right there, and like you said, you know what you need to do, you just need someone to give you permission. I guess what's the feeling of hesitancy or fear around it? What's your biggest fear around it?
It's going to sound really silly because I know exactly what it is, and it is so practical and could be solved tomorrow. It is that I need to hand off one client that I've allowed myself to be tied up in on an art side.
Oh my gosh. Wait, TJ, is this the same person you talked about like a year ago?
Maybe.
I think you've said this before, like a year ago.
Yeah, maybe. They're just a cool client, and I think that there's, whether I would admit it or not, I think I'm fulfilled in the art that I'm doing for them.
Yeah, yeah.
However, since then, since I took on this full-time job with Bradley Mountain, I don't need that fulfillment from this other client.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm looking for my open window to jump out of, truly. And since you and I chatted, or since I sent you that message a couple weeks ago, I was reached out to by an old friend of mine from California who's a designer who was just kind of poking around looking for work. And so I have fed him a couple projects from this client just to kind of get his feet wet and have him understand their brand. And he's been crushing. So, I mean, truly, I could hand off everything tomorrow to him. I think there's that fear in me, which is, it comes from, historically being in that constant cycle of like financial tightness. And so, well, if I give away that client, they're my biggest client. And so if I give away that responsibility and I lose, half or more than half of what I'm making with them to hire someone else, then what? Like, I'm not going to be able to find someone to fill that gap, which I know I just explained to you how I was going to. Yeah. And I just told you that I need time. So that's exactly what it is.
Got it. Well, the exciting thing is, man, again, you have the path in front of you. Like, I think if you actually give this a concerted effort and do the work you need to do, which is oftentimes what we all experience. I'm just doing the math of, let's say you have, like you said, 50 clients, which, by the way, referrals really close. Like, the average close rate of any person that you talk to who has maybe a potential interest in your thing or your service, that's usually 20%. On average, across the board of all industries for closing clients from a sales perspective. Usually referrals are like 50 to 70%. When you get a referral that it closes like 3 times the amount. It's huge. That's why referrals are so great. But let's say that even of those 50 people, it's not 50% of them close, which would be 25. Let's say it's just the average of 10 people. So 20%, so 10 people, and they each do like $850. I mean, you'd be doing 5 figures a month at that point. And then you could, again, either hire out for more fulfillment. I think the only thing I would pause the brakes on, and it may take the wind out of your sail, but it's because I've experienced this too, and I've seen this in the startup capacity too, in my background with working with startups. It's so easy to want to shove off sales as a founder as soon as possible, especially for those who are creative or don't have a sales background. But I would own as much of the sales as you can until you really, really have a repeatable system for sales and marketing
Hmm.
where then it's like it's so clear that you can just write it down on a one page paper. This is how we at Mocky do sales and marketing and client acquisition, and you just hand that over to them. But if you just kind of hire somebody, which I did this when I first started Go to Market Bot before it was Pilot West Studios, like our position was weak. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just feeling it out. I knew I was going after a problem, but then I hired someone in Pakistan to like crank through hundreds of calls a day towards our ICP, and we just spun our wheels for half a year. And thankfully, it was cheap enough to where it didn't hurt me that bad. But and the person tried really hard, and we kept iterating and iterating and iterating. But it was such a big mistake. I should have owned that from the very beginning. I should have had the conversations. I should have, because there's all those little nuances in sales that you pick up on. You say one thing and you get their attention, or you say one thing and then it doesn't really work. It's like those little iterations that you're able to pick up as a founder is so vital to understanding, like, how do I need to iterate on my marketing? What else do I need to say? Or maybe what is something else I can add to my offer that people really appreciate that has been brought up before? It's like all those little tiny little conversations and little intangible things that happen throughout a sales cycle are like so valuable at the beginning that it makes it creating a repeatable process way easier later on when you do bring someone on to run that fulfillment on the marketing and sales side.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you don't even need them. It sounds like even you could just own your referral list and just crank away at that and get to, probably replace I can imagine you could replace your Bradley Mountain income if you wanted to, in probably 4 to 6 months if you really wanted to, just by focusing on referrals and continuing to milk that.
That's the thing, is that I don't want to. I don't want to stop that.
Yeah.
Because that feels like, and that's a whole other conversation. That's a soul level decision that was made, and it's been fulfilling on a really deep level. So, and that, calling back to the beginning of the conversation, it's like, is this just having my cake and eating it too? Is this wanting too much? But I guess at that point it'd come to a decision.
Yeah.
Or not. I guess I'll double down on that question. Do you think it is possible to, if all I was doing, if the model was I was sales and I did pursue project managers to where I made the sale and I onboarded the client in those 3 hours of my day, I could bite off, 3 meetings a morning, 2 meetings a morning, maybe that's more realistic, and assign a project manager and designer and have that run underneath me. Could I continue that?
I'd say yes.
And run a good business.
I think, yeah. In fact, what I talk about on this channel is I think constraints create the best businesses. And so I think being constrained as a parent, husband, and a full-time employee actually forces you to create more sustainable businesses that aren't completely reliant on you. Because like if you were on your own, like you could just, if you didn't have a full-time job, like you could just run this on the seat of your pants for a while and make decent money and be the designer and be the salesperson and like do everything. Yeah. But it's just not fun. It's just not repeatable. But for you having this on the side, like you could absolutely keep running this. You just have to really get granular on what does fulfillment look like? What does good look like? And like onboarding process, just like with what we did with Adam did with the systematizing of, the Trello board and all that, like just getting really granular on how designers get the requests, how you onboard, how do they fulfill, and then just making sure that you have enough visibility to make sure everything's chugging along. And the last point I'd say beyond fulfillment is just make sure it's worth your time. If you're only making a few $1,000, it's like, it's always going to be kind of a nuisance. But if it's making you a cool 5, 6, 7, 10K, and you're able to just continue as it, gains more momentum, hire people to delegate things out as you get more capital. Like that's kind of a win-win situation. You know what I mean? And then if things ever turn sour with your full-time employment, or you wanted to go do something else and just like it got boring for any reason, not that I'm saying it would necessarily, but just like in the worst case scenario, you got something you can hop over to and scale indefinitely. Like that's the best parachute you can have, is like when you don't need a business, you got one that's working,
Mm-hmm.
but you also don't want to kill yourself in the meantime.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you feel about that statement? Do you feel like it's true for you, or do you feel like it would overwhelm your life too quickly?
No, it's funny whenever I explain to someone what my day to day looks like, I think they get a little overwhelmed, which is it always tickles me because a year ago when I was just doing Mocky, you can imagine my income just on what I'm currently making with Mocky. It's not enough to sustain a family of 6 people.
Yeah, right.
And so now I'm up to my eyeballs in work, and it's all fulfilling. Keyword fulfilling. I've said that about 100 times tonight.
You're suffering from success.
Got too much good going on in my life.
That's a blessing, man. That's a huge blessing.
I do feel really, really blessed, and I listening to other podcasts about business growth and entrepreneurship. Like I hear people talk about how they got to where they were at, and they kind of fast forward through all of the shit. I'm in and out of the shit constantly, so it's not pretty.
Yeah.
But I'll have these moments. Like last night, I had this moment before I went to bed where I just thought, like, is this really what I get to do? This is great.
Yeah.
I get to wake up tomorrow and do something that I love to start the day, which is relationship building and turning good art. And then I get to clock in for a job that I feel like I was designed for, and support one of my closest friends growing this business it's scaling like crazy. I mean, it's booming right now, and I get to be a part of that, and I get to build culture in the city that I love.
Yeah.
So I think with Mocky, what I'm striving for, which is even crazy to say, is I'm striving for like the most successful side hustle.
Yeah.
If that's what it was, and that's what it could always be, and it could be a side hustle that makes me more than my 9 to 5, I think I would allow that.
Yeah.
I don't think if it tipped the scale, I don't think I would jump ship at my 9 to 5 because I like the job so much. I said soul level. It does something for me that I don't know that Mocky could do. I'm proud of Mocky. I'm proud of the growth that I've been able to, being able to be the creator of something and shape something from the ground up. That's cool. But I think if that's what it could be, that would be okay.
Yeah. And
because
I think
at that point too, I think I don't want to live my life striving and sweaty all the time.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that might not be possible, but I think in my mind right now, at least, I do think it's possible. I believe in it.
So ultimately, you're saying that like you feel good about the workload right now, and you don't feel like it's too much.
No, I don't.
Then I think that that's your litmus test. Again, I think let's play this out. Like worst case scenario, it continues to scale, and then you have more capital that if it does get too overwhelming, you can hire someone to take it over, and you can just either collect checks and again, there'll be smaller checks because you're having to hire a full-time employee to manage everything, but like you're still collecting checks, and it's still a growing business, a growing asset that, hey, maybe one day you could sell off one day and get a, windfall event, way down the line. It's like worst case scenario, if it gets overwhelming, you can hire somebody and just take smaller checks and just keep it growing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think again, the last point I'll make here to all of it is, yeah, you already know what you got to do. I would just focus on the referrals because I think it'll. What is burnout, right? Burnout is doing the same thing over and over again and like being frustrated that you're not seeing progress.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only concern I would have for this is like if you don't really add fuel to the flame here while things are hot, then I think after a while it'll start to wear on you like, man, I'd rather just have my 3 hours back than just get paid a few grand to do this every day. You know, maybe at a certain point, it just gets frustrating, and or like you know, you just hit a bad season where it's just wearing on you. But if you have the scale, if you can scale it and just like really focus on it for the next few months, then for one, you're gonna have more money, which you can do more things with, which is always fun for your family and for you. But two, you can also delegate and do more things to automate the business and to bring more people in to keep it
Mm-hmm.
growing, to buy back even more of your time. But if you're really in between these stages, I mean that's like the shit eating stage, and you could just be there indefinitely, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But if you give a really concerted effort, I feel like you'll be able to really then see the reward of it and even be able to delegate and to even get yourself more out of the business and less of the key man risk to where you can create teams and everything to keep this thing moving completely without you and you just collect checks like, and that's like you said, that's the best case scenario for a side business.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like a dream.
Well, you're down the right path, man. Like obviously creating real value, and if you have that many referrals sitting in your inbox, you're doing something good.
Well, I think I don't know that I said they're referrals, but warmer than they're warm leads. I think what I said in that was these were from email forwards, and it's contacts that I have that I wouldn't otherwise have if I was just on LinkedIn and cold emailing.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then I just ask for referrals if you haven't done it for a while. Like ask some of your clients, like,
uh-huh,
hey, looking to bring on a few clients. Who do you know?
uh-huh.
Did you ever do that with the free mock-ups as a referral bonus?
Yeah, I started down that path, but I think there was something missing from whether it was lack of heart on my end or maybe it just was buy-in and there needed more time needed to pass um, with the clients. And now that I've been on board with each of them for so long, I also, what, now I'm talking through it, I'm verbally processing here. I've noticed a shift in my attitude towards clientele. I wanted to do a really great job and give them the best art ever,
Hmm.
um, which took me away from that relationship piece. And when I kind of could cut the BS and just give them an end product that was good enough to get their job done, I think I started to notice that they prioritized speed. They
Yeah.
valued they valued customer service and speed. They wanted my communication, um, and so I started to give that. I was allowing perfect to be the enemy of good because I'm a designer, and that's what you do. You push for quality, and that's what I do in my 9 to 5. I
Hmm.
push for quality, and we get it right, and then we sell, and we go on to the next project, and so yeah, my it's that coming back to another thing that you said, just you know, good businesses are built under constraint. I think that's what you said, or restraint.
Constraint. Yeah.
Um, and that's sort of what happened. There's been these uh, like micro shifts along the way in Mocky. It's not at all what it was when I started, even down to just an attitude change.
Hmm.
So it's been fun to see, and I know there will be more of it. So yeah, we'll see.
Sweet, man. Well, thanks for sharing.